Well, it looks like it just turned 2 o'clock on the dot. So hello to everyone who's joining. It's so great to see you here. My name is Noah Klein. I am the communications manager for the National Flute Association. If you have never heard of the NFA, we are one of the largest membership organizations for flutists in the world. And if you enjoy events like this, you would probably enjoy being an NFA member. We offer a ton of year-round benefits to our members, including connecting with flutists from all over the world. We are most well known for our annual convention that happens every August, where thousands of flutists of all ages come together and perform and compete and learn from each other. In 2024, this will happen in San Antonio, Texas. So go ahead and mark your calendars now. We would love to see you there. We'll also have several competitions that might interest you for flutists of all ages, including our high school soloist and our high school flute choir competitions. All the info you need about us is in the link in our bio, so go ahead and follow us on Instagram, go to our website, and check out everything about the NFA. With that, my spiel is done. Dulce and Melody, I will hand it over to you. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Melody. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Yes, good, good. It's raining here. How's that over there going on?
Very sunny.
Oh, it's nice. Good. Awesome. Well, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Just in case some of our viewers don't know, let us know.
Hi, my name is Melody. I'm from New York. I play the flute. I'm currently studying with Carol Winsence at the Juilliard Pre-College.
Nice. And are there any musicians in your family?
No, actually, my parents are all in very academic fields, so
Oh, really? So you're like the first one to go to be a musician in your family?
Yeah, I'm thinking of choosing music.
That's so interesting. So then what led you to choose flute?
Starting flute was like a happy accident for me. I started learning piano when I was very young, but then for school, I had to pick an instrument for band or orchestra, and I wanted to play violin, but I felt I'm wrong. So then flute, but I'm happy because I think I got to learn a lot from it, and now I really appreciate the instrument.
Oh, nice. And around what age did you start playing flute?
I started around 11 years old.
Okay, and how old are you right now?
I just turned 17.
Nice. So you've been playing just about 6 years. That is so cool. And when you first started on flute, who were some of your teachers?
My first teachers were mostly affiliated with the school band, but I took private lessons with Dominique Susi after a few years, and she was very influential on my playing, and she encouraged me with auditioning to pre-college, and now I'm with Carol Winsence.
Nice. So she's the one that sort of led you to pursue Juilliard?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. And how did you get into it? How was that whole process of auditioning for Juilliard?
Well, it was one of my first goals for flute, since it used to be something that I did for school, but I started practicing more for it, like 1 to 2 hours a day for a few months, and just working on more challenging pieces. And I didn't think I would get in, but I did make it. So.
Nice. And how long have you been at Juilliard?
This is my 4th year.
This is your 4th year. Okay, so you've been in a while. Nice, yeah. Okay, and just, take us through like a day in the life of Melody, like your daily classes. What kind of classes did you take? What's your schedule like, being part of the pre-college?
So pre-college is every Saturday. So I go to a normal high school, actually.
Oh.
And I take classes like calculus, French, all the academics. And then on Saturdays, on pre-college days, my schedule this year is 11 to 6 p.m. And I have music theory first, and then I have my private lesson, and then chamber music, which I'm a woodwind quintet, and we're beginning a lot of challenging pieces that I really like. And then I have orchestra for about 2 hours. Then finishing the day with ear training classes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you go every Saturday to pre-college. Okay, that's interesting. Nice. Okay. And so a lot of people want to know, what flute do you play on?
I play on Brandon Brothers flute with
Ooh.
Lafon head joint.
Okay, and you've always played on that one, or did you just transition into that one recently?
This flute is about 2 years old, and I think it's done some great things for me to discover my sound and just giving me a lot more like a sparkling tone.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Nice. So you've been playing on it for 2 years. That's great. And do you see yourself, being a flutist like in the future? Is this something that you want to keep pursuing?
yes, I think I've been preparing for an academic career since I was very young, but I'm starting to find a lot more passion for flute and a lot more purpose that I want to do with it. And I realize that my potential career in music can influence and be as important as if I were to go into another field as academic. And I'm learning that the music path can be very serious and very important to just touch individuals. So I think I would like to pursue a music career.
Nice. That's so cool. So preparing for this, and I know you sort of mentioned it briefly, but like about how many, how much do you practice per day, and just in preparing yourself for different competitions? Because we've followed you around a bit on Instagram, and you just finished a really cool competition. So you can tell us about a competition in a bit, but how much do you actually prepare and practice for those kinds of competitions?
For normal practice time, I think I would do around 1 or 2 hours a day, but sometimes if I get very busy with school, I have to keep it under 45 minutes. But when I'm preparing for bigger competitions, like international competitions, I try to get in 3 to 6 hours a day so I can just really do detailed work.
Nice. 3 to 6 hours a day. But you break that up. How do you break that up? Like, you don't sit there for 6 hours straight.
Sometimes I do have to because I have school until 3:34, and then I get home and have time until 10:30 to practice because that's when my family needs to go to sleep. So sometimes I just have to do my homework at school, get home, get the hours in.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so cool. So what, how was it? This is what they want to know. Um, how do you, how long did it take you to make your low notes so strong and loud? So I guess like practicing all that kind of range stuff. How do you work on on your range?
I think low notes, I want to improve my low notes still, and I'm not happy with them yet. But I think what's helped me improve was just how I think about air and sound and just finding correct placement within the body. And because I think when I was a beginner, or a lot of beginners, they think they have to push the sound to get down, which is a natural way of thinking. And then they do so by putting more air in. But you have to think about relaxing inside somehow and opening in the jaw, and then also thinking about how vibrato can be used to enhance the sound. And yeah, I think it takes a lot of time to develop the more efficient ways to make a big sound.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Yeah. You're right. It takes a lot of practice. Full range also, just the same with high notes and stuff. Speaking of high notes, do you switch back from flute to piccolo sometimes? And when you do, like, what's the fastest time that you've had to change, or what's the procedure of just changing the embouchure as quickly as possible to switch over to piccolo?
Mostly this is in orchestra music because I don't play a lot of flute piccolo pieces together. But for orchestra, I guess fastest time for changing a few measures or something, but not too bad because you get used to thinking about them as different instruments. Piccolo, you just have to place it higher on your lip, and smaller embouchure and less aggressive with the tonguing, and um, less air. Piccolo, everything's just smaller.
Yes. Nice. Tell us a little bit about the competition that you just finished up internationally and how that went and your experiences behind that.
I just did the Gazzoloni International competition, and it was very impactful experience. I also participated in it last year, where I was in category A, which is under 18 years old. So this year I tried 18 to 22 years old, and it was just a very big challenge for me because I came to the competition last year and I expected just how difficult it would be. So my biggest goal was to play with musical maturity, because conservatory students, I think they're much more mature than what I can play normally. So it was scary and intimidating, of course, but it was a really good learning opportunity, and it's always cool to meet people that you can look up to, and that inspiration keeps me going for many months even afterwards.
Yes, nice, yeah. And how did how did you first learn about this competition? Did your teacher ask you to compete in it, or were you just like, this is something cool that I want to do? It's awesome, especially like all the different venues that you got to play in. Like I saw some of those pictures and videos. Like that must have been so cool to just experience performing in different venues like that.
Yes, these opportunities I usually receive through just researching online, seeing some videos of past winners, and thinking, wow, I want to try that. That's
Yeah.
for the opportunities.
Yeah. And what was your program? Did you have to choose a split? Do they require a program for you to perform, or it's like whatever you decide to perform?
Yes, there was a required choice, but they would give you 5 or 3 pieces to choose from, and then you get to choose which ones you.
Okay. And what did you play?
For preliminary round, I played the Danse de la Chèvre by Arthur Honegger
Yeah.
and Telemann A minor fantasy. For
Nice.
final, I played the Martin Ballade and the Ionesco Cantabile Presto. And final round, I played the Mercadante Concerto in E minor.
Nice. Those are all really good pieces. They're so much fun. Did you have fun practicing those pieces?
Yes, it was a lot of challenge, especially with triple tonguing. I don't very often, but the Martin Ballade and the Mercadante, it's everywhere, everywhere.
Right. And like speaking of like learning all these brand new pieces, what kind of like structure or approach do you take when you get a brand new piece, you've never seen it, brand new music? How do you approach it in learning it?
I first I play it through with piano, because when you start, I don't have the patience, honestly, to get through and like practice the technique from day one. I want to have fun and see what this piece sounds like so I can have an idea. So I play it through with some online accompaniment, even if it goes horribly, if I'm missing all the notes. And then from there I try detailed work on sections, because I listen to more recordings, I have a better idea of how I want to sound. And then it gets pickier and pickier as time goes on. Sometimes it becomes like practicing 50 minutes on 10 bars. Because when you're very focused, I think you can hear, oh, I don't like how this note sounds. I don't like the vibrato on this note. And then that's how it gets more and more refined.
Nice. Okay, that's interesting. So you just pick it up and play with piano and see what the vibe is really. So that's so cool. And then you go back. That's so cool. Yeah. And more or less, how long does it take you to prepare a new piece? Like from first start? And I mean, it depends obviously on the level of the piece, but how long does it take you to prepare fully when you're learning a brand new piece?
Yeah, you're right. It does depend on every piece. It's funny because I just had a performance 2 days ago on the Mignon Fantasy by Taffanel. It's about 13 minutes, and I think there's a lot of technical and musical challenges. But I had very little time because I had about 4 tests that week, and I worked on the piece for probably a couple days total over the course of many weeks because I didn't have a lot of time. So I was very unprepared for this performance, but I tried to memorize it. I didn't make memory mistakes, but I think my technical mistakes I made a lot. But I think if I'm desperate, I can get it done in a couple days to a week. But it's going to be very risky. I'm going to be very nervous. So I prefer to be very prepared. But sometimes I have no choice because I'm a high school student and maybe a couple weeks, a month, 1 week.
It all depends. Nice. And speaking of, so you're fairly young, but you've already played a lot of really cool repertoire. What is your favorite piece to date that you've actually like performed and learned?
I think this answer changes a lot, but I remember having the most fun with Carmen Fantasy because I was really able to just try to be virtuosic and do a lot of musical choices and show melody in the piece. But I performed it so much that I think it's nice I'm getting a break on it.
Oh yeah, it's a really good piece. And there's so many different characters that you can build in that piece. So that's a really cool piece. I like that also. Um, okay, and how do you go on practicing other aspects of your playing, like intonation or rhythm when you're learning new pieces?
Rhythm, metronome.
And intonation, can you give us something that you do with intonation?
I think intonation is tricky. I don't practice with tuner, though I think that would be a good thing for me to do. But usually, about tuning to the piano, I think.
Mhm.
So I guess having perfect pitch it does help, so I know when I'm in tune. The hard part for me is correcting it. So just really understanding where to put the air and what of openness or like narrowness you should have inside your body to make a sharper or sound. Yeah.
So, okay, cool, cool. So you have perfect pitch?
Yes.
That is so cool. Do you have any kind of like, I mean, it all sounds like it's a pro. Like, oh, I have that's so cool, I have perfect pitch. But is there an instance where you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have perfect pitch because I can hear it? Yeah, it's happened to you before?
Third grade recorder class.
I can imagine that. Oh my God. That's all you had to say. It's like, I'm not even going to elaborate. I'm just going to say
Yeah.
third grade recorder class.
Like
That's it.
it's playing like doot, doot, doot.
That is so funny. Yeah, I bet. Okay. And social media, how did social media come about? How did you get started? Did you think it was going to develop into what's developed now?
Not at all. So I began very few years ago. I think it's still pretty new to me. And it started because I was not really ready to do many performing or competing at the time, but I also have very low motivation because I think I'm the type of musician who needs a lot of experience to be motivated and have goals to work to. So I didn't have that, and I saw other musicians with practice accounts, and I thought, maybe I want to try that. So I tried it for fun, just to try to get some more discipline into my practicing because I was doing like 20 minutes every other day. I had no motivation.
Wow.
I was surprised because randomly I would get followers and then I would get views on my practice videos and I was like, oh, what's going on? And then it grew and grew, and now I'm very lucky to be so connected with so many musicians and have such just be able to communicate and share my thoughts with so many people.
So, like more, how many years ago did you start social media?
I can't remember if it was 2 or 3.
Years. And you just started posting about your practice sessions and that's it to keep you accountable?
Yep,
That's
just little.
so cool. Yeah. And I know, and do you like, mostly it's just like you performing, you practicing or playing or something, and then you have the music under. Do you have somebody that helps you like just put that together? Or you just like, I'm gonna do this now.
It's very simple. I use like an app to edit it. Take 5 minutes and then it's done.
That is so cool. Okay, nice, 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 nice. Um, okay, so who is your favorite flutist?
Ooh, that's a
Do you
hard.
have one? Do you, okay, top three. If you have to choose top three.
I really like Emmanuel Payud.
We all do. Yeah.
Hmm. So many. Yubin Kim
Okay, yeah.
and I don't know. I was listening to the Geneva competition and I thought that they were all fantastic. So I think just a lot of young musicians that have their own ideas. I look up to them all.
Yeah. Nice. Good, good. Okay, well, let's see if there's other questions here. Oh, okay. We got some from the chat. Okay, so this is from the chat. How do you ever get really nervous in performances, and how do you deal with nerves?
Of course, yeah. I get nervous every time. Almost every time, I think. I'm always very nervous. And but it's funny because people tell me they always feel very confident when I walk in, but it's all just an act. I try to walk on stage with as if I was like a professional performer, walking with confidence and smiling at the audience. But I think performing a lot over and over again, it definitely helps. Not that it gets rid of the nerves, but you're able to play and support your sound even when it's shaking. You learn to deal with it. And I think a lot of it is about mental preparation, which helps a lot. So when you practice, you want to practice and be diligent so that when you perform, you feel secure. And before you perform, that's very important. You want to I like to meditate a little. I like to close my eyes, take deep breaths, and just remind myself of why I am performing. And I think some people think, oh, nobody cares. I'm performing for myself, so I shouldn't be nervous. But I think the opposite. I think performing is such a luxury that we get to share our work with others. And if I just try my best and just show people all the work I put in, then that's what it means to give a good performance. So it's okay, don't think about the mistakes that will come. Just try to genuinely enjoy and share something with the people that are spending their time to watch you.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's so perfect. And you know, every time you do walk out, you look so happy out there. Like you just when you're walking out, when you perform, when you're walking in and out, like you just always look so happy. Like you're having such a good time when you're performing. I think that's what it's all about. So thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, so what are some of your tips for memorizing music?
Personally, I learn memorization very well through listening to recordings over and over. Just like I always say that if I can hum the piece or if I can sing the piece, then I can memorize it, you know? Just having an expectation of what the piece sounds like, how the tune goes, or I guess if it doesn't come very easily that way, you could also think about chord structure maybe, like if this part's going to major, minor, or just finding descriptions like this part is happy, this part is spooky, you know?
Yeah. I like to think of it as flute karaoke. So you listen to the recording and you just sort of try to play along with it. It's sort of like getting that used to memorizing it. So, okay. Okay, well, this has nothing to do with flute, but they want to know if you have any show recommendations. TV or Broadway. They want to know what you're watching. They want to know what you're into or anything that you recommend us. We'll go back to flute, I promise, because there's way more flute stuff, but this one's kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I would be honest, I don't watch many shows because I'm very busy. I would love to watch, but I like a lot of fantasy stuff. Um, I like K-dramas. I like adventure. I like all sorts of stuff all over the place. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of case do you have your flute? Do you have a special click case?
Mm,
You're like, let me look for it.
Brandon,
Like, what is that?
it's just a Brandon
It's a
Brothers case.
Random Brothers case. Nice. Okay. Um, People want to know what city you live in, but we talked about that in the beginning, right? Okay, so tips for technique. We talked about memorization. We talked about, nervous, but tips for technique. How do we get, do you have any type of technique tips?
Hmm. I think the typical answer is practice slowly and repeat it over and over. But I I guess I'll offer some different advice. I always want to improve my technique, so like my technique is not perfect, but this is just what helps me a little bit. I think there's so much of a mental aspect to practicing that gets ignored because we're always training our fingers, training our tongue to be faster, but sometimes if I sit and I think about like what am I playing, like what am I doing, then that helps me more. And I realize that, we spend so much time training our bodies, like even athletes and musicians, we spend our times training our bodies to do the things that we have to do. But what we're really doing is training our brain. Like our brain is controlling everything that's going on. So if we can really understand what are we doing, like what can be done to the tongue, which parts can be more loose, which tongue part can be like tighter, fatter, that often helps me more, and just which notes lead into another and the overall phrasing. And it's just bizarre when you find out that, for example, if there's a run that I can't play with the fingers, sometimes if I think of supporting my air more and think about the direction of it, and I just focus on blowing the air, the fingers are fine. And then it works out. So just maybe thinking a little outside of the box and have more control over your body through your brain than just getting into the fingers. Oh, of course, though, like repetition and slow practicing is very important, but the brain should be equally important.
Right. Yes. Good. Good. Do you have any like favorite tone and sound exercises like to build up into the higher register a tiny bit?
Hmm. I like using harmonics, like playing a low
Hmm.
C and like high C, and then doing that for every note, playing a scale, maybe like da 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 through only harmonics, because I think that gets the sound clearer because you have to use more air and it's more difficult to play the high notes through harmonic fingering. So then when you play the real fingering, it's like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So we talked about, so you're super busy and you just told us, like sometimes you barely have time to practice. Sometimes, it's a lot. You have a lot going on currently. How do you find time to socialize? You're still a teenager, you're still trying to balance everything out, and you have these competitions, and then you have pre-college and you have your high school stuff, but how do you find time to just at the end of the day find time to be with your friends?
I'm an introvert, so I'm lucky that I don't have so many people that I have to talk with. So I have just a handful of people that I would like to spend my time with. And so maybe on Juilliard Saturdays, I have some really close friends. We might get bubble tea after school, which is a really nice way. We have a lot of fun, and We talk about our days and our school life and just everything that went on in orchestra. And then on normal days, sometimes I might call my friends for a little bit or just see them at school and just have a little conversation in the hallways with them. But yeah, I I'm an introvert, and it's good that I don't require a lot of time with people, but I do value the time that I get with my close friends.
Nice. And do you have some of your friends that are, you know, at high school with you and are also at the pre-college with you?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh, really? So you just get to see them either Saturdays or you get to see them during the day.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. And if you could play another instrument, which I know you said violin. Would you have done that? Like, would you choose violin instead? Like, I'm gonna redo this. It's gonna be violin now, or is there any other instrument that maybe you'd be interested in learning?
I, I wouldn't have done anything differently. I think the flute I is the right instrument for me, and it's given me a lot of struggles and a lot of successes that I don't know if I'd like to experience on any other instrument. And but I am interested in learning guitar and ukulele. I just bought a ukulele a little while ago, and I play it for fun.
Oh,
Just
nice. Okay. Let's see. Do they have some people, why flute? Why did you choose flute? How did your passion for flute, keep you going with this?
mm, I think I didn't understand a lot about passion until very recently, just a few months ago, because I think a lot of my initial um, activities with music was encouraged by my parents, since it's important for many kids now to have different things to be good at, to go to a good college, and they'll be impressed by that. But I started learning for myself and meeting a lot of people that were just very kind and just so special and had such impact on me, and I wanted to be more like them. And just they were all very selfless. I find many of them to be very generous, and just the realization that the music is not about so much about being the best. It's not about yourself, the whole point of music is not about yourself. And it's very hard to realize that when you're around in like a busy city like New York City or Juilliard, because that's very competitive. But when you step far away from it, you realize that there's a lot more meaning to what we're doing. And that's when I think I started developing a passion for myself, especially this summer. So I feel
Oh,
better than I did a couple of years ago.
yeah, I like that. It's just way bigger than just, it's passion is just to put into words, it's just a lot bigger than just you. It's what you've done with it. So that's really nice. Um, okay, and let's see if we have this other one. How do you practice? How do you practice discipline? Oh, how do you find, how do you practice, especially in your busy schedule, just how do you find the time to just be as disciplined as you are to be able to create all of this?
Um, Honestly, if I don't have some huge thing coming up, I'm not very disciplined, and I just like stay in bed. But if I have to be disciplined, then I think having a dream is important. Having short term, long term, maybe short term is better. Like within the next month, if you have a big thing coming up, like you want to imagine yourself where you want to be, imagine yourself performing for the people, and imagine how you want to sound like. And once you have a very clear goal, and if you want it badly enough, then um, of course there's other obstacles that might come, but I think you can make it happen if you really, really want something.
Okay. And do you have a competition coming up? Do you have a next competition in mind already that you're working towards?
Not exactly, but I am hoping for something in April outside the country in Europe, maybe. But also, I have college and conservatory auditions coming up soon, so just putting my. Oh, and I do have a performance in December that I'm very excited about with Salon de Virtuosi, which is like a organization for New York musicians, usually young musicians like myself, and I'll be performing for a lot of great musicians and music fans in very small, intimate settings like salon culture, like it was back then. And I'm very excited because I'll be playing 30 minutes of music.
Oh, that's nice. What's your favorite piece on that program that you're going to be playing?
Haven't decided
You
yet,
haven't
but
decided yet.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you're young, but at your young age, have you ever experienced burnout or you're just like, "Mm-mm, it's not happening today, just
I think so. I think. Um, I don't know if I call it burnout. I just call it times of no motivation.
right.
That's after a very painful competition loss, or if I just get into a period of insecurity, or if everything else in my life is just it's getting to be a lot, then I stop practicing sometimes, and I don't want to do anything, and it's frustrating. But even before some big competitions, sometimes I might just think, oh, I'm never going to be ready for this. I'm never going to be good enough. And it's very hard to start working hard and practicing towards what you want to be. And I always think I go through the same process every time that helps me get back on track. It takes some time, but just if I'm not feeling good about myself and I think I'm never going to be good enough, just thinking, okay, acknowledging that fine, maybe I'm not ready right now, maybe I don't sound like how I want to sound right now, just acknowledging that maybe you are not good enough at the moment, but you also think this is what I have to work with and I have time, and just how far I get is about what I do right now. And sometimes it takes a few days of me to really think about that, and then I realize, okay, fine, I'm bad right now, but what can I do? Just what I can do, right?
Okay. So, and how you mentioned it briefly, but how do you deal when, competition doesn't go your way?
Step one, the immediate response is probably smile through it and then run to the bathroom and cry for a little. Okay. It depends on how much work I put in. If I work very hard and if I put a lot of my emotions into it, then I will be very upset and I will probably cry about it. But then afterwards, it always goes away after a week or so. It gets better, even if it feels like the end of the world at the moment. It's not. It's fine. And just there's always something to learn. And yeah, I've always found that after a lot of competitions where I thought I I lost very badly, it was not recoverable from, the next one I always do so much better, and it can be really used as a source of inspiration. Even if you didn't win, you can learn from the other people who won, and just understanding that competitions are so subjective, really. And you might win at some big competition but still place very, very low at another one, or not even place, there's no saying of what's good or bad. Just remember why you're doing the art and just do your personal best.
And do you think competitions are good for musicians? Like,
Yeah, I think so. It depends. I think it's really great if you're ready to take something and learn from the competition, and it gives you new ideas of other musicians, but it can also be detrimental if you're trying to use it as a form of validation or proving to yourself or others, like, hi, I'm good enough. Because I think I tried that a lot last year. Um, when I felt like I was lacking as a person or just in other areas, I wanted to just show myself like I'm good at something, you know, like I can be first at something. But it does not make up for any other part of your life. Even if you win, you're not going to feel happy if the goal was not genuinely about improvement and learning. So yeah, it's good or bad. It's really about what you make of it.
Nice. Yes. Nicely said. Um, do you have, so right now you just study with Karen and Whitson, or do you have different multiple teachers in your flute playing? So what did you say?
Only with Miss Winston's right now.
Oh, okay. Nice. And how did you decide if which teacher is a good fit for you and if you want to study with them?
I think I had many teachers throughout, not many, just a few different teachers throughout. And I saw Miss Winston's students and her playing, and just seeing that her students were treated like seriously, like young musicians. And she pushed them to do big competitions and big performances, but she was also a very caring teacher. And she has so much experience and she helps her students a lot, and she really does care about all of her students. And I really wanted a teacher like that who could help me fulfill my ambitions and also be very like warm.
Nice, yeah. And moving forward, what you mentioned that you have conservatory auditions. Can you tell us where you're auditioning? Are the different schools that you're thinking of?
Undecided for now.
You just know you're gonna do it. You're just gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you would start already. You're auditioning next semester?
Yeah, I'm auditioning this year.
Okay.
Or next.
For next. Nice. Um, do you ever play, and if so, name some of the pieces that you just play for fun? So it's not a competitive piece, it's not anything, but have you want to end on a good note, and after a practice session, you're like, I'm just gonna play this piece for fun. Do you have something that you always go back to because it's just fun to play?
I think I like reading different
Oh,
pieces. Like, especially I like to read pretty pieces because, you know, sometimes I want to sound pretty. I want to play something pretty and feel good about it. Um, Sometimes it's like violin. There's Salute d'Amour. That one's a pretty one. And all sorts of stuff.
nice. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any more from the chat? Okay. Alrighty. Well, do you have any kind of like words for everybody watching, whether they're starting to just started flute, or maybe they've been doing flute for a while, and just any kind of like tips or recommendations or last words as we wrap this up?
Sure. Don't be afraid to set big goals or dreams for yourself, because you never know how far you can get in 2 years. And just, I think I was someone who made a lot of excuses for myself, like, oh, I didn't play since I was like very young, so I can't be very good. But all of it's in your head, and you really can get very far if you have the right goals and you put in the work for it. And just simply talking about your goals does not get you anywhere. You have to really be honest to yourself and put in the work and just have big hopes and see where you can go. I think it's difficult, and there's a lot of complications outside the flute world too, but just anything, just try your best. That's all you can do.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really nice. I just, you know, for such a young age, and I know I keep saying that, you're just so inspirational and you just have your head in the right place for all the ambition that you have. And thank you so much for taking time to do this.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate this. You know, it's this committee that we're in, it's just trying to inspire the youth, and I think you're a perfect example of that. The kids look forward to it. So thank you for taking some time to chat with us, answering all these different questions. Noah, see if Noah has anything for you. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Thank you both so much. And Melody, thank you for sharing your wise words with us. We at the NFA just love seeing all that you've done and know that you will do in the future. So hats off to you. Thank you again for speaking to us and all of our followers. To everyone who's still watching, thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoy events like this and want to come to more, follow NFA Flute. That stands for National Flute Association. Check out the link in our bio if you want to know more about us or think that you might want to be a member of the NFA one day. We would love to have you. And with that, have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.